how do you tell if a guy has money or not?
Wow. That's
Like
a good
if
one.
you're at a bar at a club,
That's a
like
good one.
how do you look at the guy? Women are very intuitive. How do you measure that?
Are we going around or are we just hopping in?
Let's start here.
What's the scenery? Like, how are we judging? What
Well,
are we
so you're in
judging
a
off
bar,
of?
you're in a club, you're out at a restaurant, cafe, or something like that, and you see a guy. That guy has money or that guy doesn't. What are you using to come to that conclusion?
Okay.
Oh,
How are we answering?
I can tell you right now. Oh my God, I got a headache. The guy that's obviously not the flashiest is the one that has the money.
Yeah.
When you're seeing the guy with the Gucci belts, the Gucci hat, all of this stuff, and the guy that wants to constantly buy you drinks, I feel like that guy is the one that doesn't have money.
Right.
Because he's kind of like portraying this persona
But only
that's not
to
really
a point,
him.
right? Because if a guy shows up and he's wearing a hoodie and looks like he's homeless,
Right.
then it's probably the same thing.
You think so?
I'm assuming. I'm just.
From personal experience, the guy that always ended up having money was the guy that was less for me.
Yeah.
And the one that didn't have the money was always the show off. So that's my opinion.
I'm gonna say that too. It's normally how they carry themselves. If they carry themselves too like flashy and too loud, they have no money most of the time. And the ones that are more calm and they're not out here flashing a Gucci belt, like you said, chains everywhere, they're the most. They have the more money.
In clubs though?
Yeah.
I don't think in clubs. In clubs, I
Yeah.
think guys with money
No.
they flash it a little bit,
Yeah.
and they buy
A
drinks.
little Miami bit, lifestyle. but
Guys with no money in clubs, they be in the corners not buying shit. So what the, you know?
I agree with that, but it's also when they're just too much. Like you can see when they're just doing way
Yeah, but you
too
still
much.
hang out with them. You still drink their drinks and shit.
I don't know if I can agree to that because
Come on,
I've hung
man.
out with
Come on,
some
queen.
listen, I've hung out with some rappers and stuff like that, and it wasn't their money, it was the label's money.
That too.
So
they still got money.
that's just like, for instance, you can have somebody do a club hosting or something like that at a strip club, and you can say, hey, I want to have $500 for me to throw at the strip club. And they can provide that for you. That's not their money.
Yeah.
That's being provided for you.
That is true.
So
All right.
that's why I don't agree to that.
Y'all still getting lit though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What about you? What is a sign that? Well, I don't know if she'll be able to answer this, but a sign that you think a guy has money.
Listen, it just all depends on how much they're willing to spend at the end of the day. They could have whatever on. You don't know who rocking what. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how much money's in their bank account. It all depends on how much they're willing to give. Even when they're buying something, tipping, it all doesn't, it just depends. Can't
That was the best non-answer I've ever heard. Didn't answer the question at all, but
How much
okay.
they spend? Got it.
Yeah, fantastic. What about you?
So to touch on the flashy point in the club, right? I think the Miami lifestyle, almost everybody's flashy. So I would say that's the difference between fast money, new money, and old money. I think like generational wealth, they are rocking different brands that aren't the ones that we're seeing on social media every day. They're wearing the watch with the regular face and not the
Right.
diamond bezel. You know what I'm saying? So I think it comes down to like, So that's new money. That's more of like the flexing, right? But like when you see a man walk in with old money, you can tell. It's the way he carries himself, and it's just the way that he's going about everything. And some guys don't even like that. They like being treated well, but they also want to be treated like a regular person too. So it kind of just depends. But I think that's the difference between old money and new money.
So I think the next question is, which do they prefer?
Old money.
Okay. Do you want me to go around to finish with
After.
what
Yeah, I
how
was
they?
doing that so I wouldn't forget. Because
Okay.
usually I have my notepad.
Okay. What about you? What shows you that a guy has some money?
I think the point of like how they present themselves is very important. Like someone who has money and knows it and doesn't need to show it to the whole world knows they have money because they have confidence and that's what matters. But I also think like, yeah, it really just kind of depends on like, I saw one of my favorite music artists is Bryson Tiller, and he was wearing these expensive ass shoes. I don't even know what they're called, but they're like, bands. So it's like before he even became famous, he was working at Papa John's, so you never really know when someone actually has money or when they don't got money. But I think it's the way they present themselves that's pretty important.
I'll tell you this.
Do they drive Chargers?
Hey, I was never rich, but I was driving one.
But Bryson Tiller, he dresses very casual, not too crazy, and is like low key. You would even know who he was until you heard his music. Like you can't tell who he is in the
It's
crowd.
because he knows his
Don't.
worth.
Super
He has
humble guy.
confidence.
Yeah.
Wow.
You met him or something?
Yeah, in the club.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know who that is, but
A singer.
okay.
Yeah, he sings.
Well,
You
I
should
believe
know.
that looks are deceiving because there's a lot of people, like they said, they have brands on and they show off a lot, but maybe you look at someone and they look humble and they have more money. I feel like when you have money, you don't show it off and you don't talk about money. Like you're just humble about it, you know, and you're more into yourself and more into the corner.
All right. What about you?
Actually, you work at a club, right?
She don't know, bro.
My parents own a club. I run it.
So do you see like how
Oh,
guys?
I see a lot. Trust me. It's like
Right.
you see someone walk in and let's say maybe they came in like work clothes and a lot of people belittle them. And let's say someone comes in all dressed up, everything, and then everyone's like on top of them, like, oh, are you okay? But then you're belittling the other person and the other person has more money.
Right.
And let's say like this person tips you like the one that looks like has a lot of money and is flashing a lot. They probably won't even tip you.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
And the other one probably tip you like $50, like $80, and you're just like, you know, because I've seen a lot of my employees do that.
Mhm.
Like they belittle people, and I'm like, don't do that because you don't know who's walking in. Treat
Facts.
everyone the same.
That's true.
So that's
Alright.
my opinion.
All right.
That's very true.
I also feel like, yeah, it's like more about like the way you dress and stuff, but also like I feel like we're in a generation where a lot of things we don't know, like the brand stuff. Like you can say, oh yeah, I'm wearing this, but you will never, like, what about if you don't know what it is and it's probably expensive, you know? So it's like, it's probably more about like, you know, the way that you talk and then you like perceive yourself to other people. Especially in the service industry, you can like, it could be like the person that you don't think like it will tip you like the most, you know. You never know. It will be like the person that wear the flashiest like stuff that will not tip you as well, you know. It will tip you like $5, $4, you know. And it's always like it's a battle because you will never know unless you like interact with that person and actually have a conversation with that person and kind of like the vibes that you get from that person as well, you know.
Okay.
That's how I feel.
But often it's tough to tell by tipping alone,
Yeah.
because I know some of the richest guys out there, and they're the tightest
But
Awesome.
I
when it
feel
comes
like
to tipping.
I have had people sat at my table, which like people that have a lot of money and they have like actually like if you give them good service, and then something that I was told like when I was really little like was like, oh yeah, a lot of people that are rich end up marrying people that are in the service industry because they like to be taken care of, so they tend to tip people more that take care of them depending on how your service and how you serve them is. You
I
know,
think
too.
that's just because it's a target-rich environment. I mean, I think that's where the guys are meeting the girls. But anyway,
That
Alright.
could be too. I would piggyback off of what Maddie said. Like they're subtle assets, so not too flashy. Like a plain Jane watch, nice timepiece, like an asset. The type of car they drive, what their house looks like. Someone who looks professional and clean. Their position at their job, and I guess also who they know in their network, so their credibility is like also could be vouched for. This is not all the time though. This is like dead giveaways. If it is like an example of a high value man or a rich man, but like for the most part, the men who have like their large subtle assets, they're not too flashy with it or bragging about it, and it's just like a regular thing to them.
All right.
All right.
And you?
I would kind of piggyback of what they said, just kind of presenting yourself to everybody. First impressions are everything, so it's like, you know, make that first impression matter. Don't be too like, you know, like I have this, I have that, and then you don't have that in the end. You know, always be humble. If you do have it, a lot of the people that are wealthy, you know, they don't really like to flash a lot of like, you know, fancy things because they know they have it at the end of the day. So.
What do you prefer now?
Well, yeah.
and I
What do you
think
old
also
money-
too,
now?
what's interesting
go ahead.
is it's a combination here. I think is what it boils down to for the people watching this. If they want some tips, it's not just aesthetically how you present yourself, but it's also your personality, and it's how you carry yourself. Like Mystery says, I don't know if he said this before, but there has to be congruency, right? So
Yes.
if you're a
There's
guy
some-
that dresses like Fresh, let's say, okay, that's fine. If you're obnoxious, then the girl's going to think, well, this guy's just he's just like a poser. He doesn't, he's not really rich. He's just pretending to be rich. But if he carries himself with a lot of confidence and walks in there and has all this social proof, like
Yep.
Mystery would say,
Yeah.
now all of a sudden it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So if you saw a famous rapper or something like that that was dressed over the top, you wouldn't assume that he's broke because there's congruency there. So however you're presenting yourself, if you're one of these guys watching and you want some of those tips, I think that's key.
Okay.